everyone, and welcome back to another episode with Simply Susan, where we explore historical sewing, cooking, and living. Today, as you can see, we are back in the kitchen. We're going to try to make a recipe that is in the book that we got called How to Cook the Victorian Way with Mrs. Crocombe. And like I said, just briefly, whenever I introduced this book that I had gotten it, it was made possible and published through the organization called English Heritage. So if you have a chance, check out their YouTube channel and some of the things that they do. But basically, Mrs. Avis Crocombe was the head cook for the Braybrook family. And when she was there, in the 1880s at Audley End House for the Braybrooks, she kept a manuscript of common recipes that she would make. And they took those recipes and they changed them a little bit so that they were more easily read, because her transcript sometimes made very large quantities. The original recipe for the one that we're going to make called for like 14 eggs, and just, it was a really large amount. She was serving a whole house. But at any rate, they've changed them, amended them a bit so that they're more functionally usable. And today we are going to make Queen Drop biscuits. And there's information here about them, which I will read at some point so that we can get a little bit of the background on this specific kind of cookie. Not cookie, it's a biscuit. I'm going to say that wrong at least 10 more times. But to get started, we need 2 sticks of butter and need to cream those along with 1 cup of sugar. All right, I'm going to put this on the mixer for a minute or 2, and then we'll get the rest of the ingredients put together. And then add the eggs gradually together with a little bit of the flour to stop the mixture curdling. Whisk after every addition. Okay? So let's measure out our flour. We need 2 2/3 cups of flour. Few drops of almond extract, then the zest of 1 lemon. It says dust the currants with a little more flour to prevent them from sinking to the bottom. And I need to tell you, we made an adjustment here. It calls for currants, which from what I found are a type, like almost more of a raisin sort of thing. But I didn't find currants at my store. I hate raisins, so I'm using dried cherries because I think that a cherry, almond, lemon, I think that just sounds like a really nice sort of biscuit. So this is a pretty stiff mixture. I don't know if I expected that, but I guess, if I'm dropping it by spoonfuls onto a baking sheet, I wouldn't want it to be too runny. So, at any rate, that's where we're at so far. So then, oh, and I should have mentioned, the oven was preheated to 400 degrees. And I lined some baking sheets with parchment. It says to drop them in spoonfuls onto the tray, leaving room for the biscuits to spread out. Bake for about 10 minutes. Should get 18 to 20. All right.
The first batch of biscuits are out of the oven,
Here what I'm doing is I melted some white chocolate and I am trying to dip them in like halfways, sort of like some other cookies are. As you can see, it broke right in half, so the rest of them I'll just sort of spoon some chocolate on. A little bit more information about the Queen Drop biscuits. This was one of the first recipes that the English Heritage team made from Avis Crocombe's manuscript whenever they gained access to it in 2009. They were an instant hit with everyone at Audley End House. The flavors are similar to those of the ubiquitous 18th century queen cakes, which were little fruited sponges usually made in shaped tins. So let's take a moment and talk about how I am a better savory and main dish cook than I am a cookie or biscuit baker. These were in the oven for 10 minutes. They were actually in the oven along with this other pan, so I figured that they would bake a lot more slowly. My paper started burning, and these guys are charcoal on the bottom. I have never had parchment paper burn, least of all turn my item into little briquettes in the prescribed amount of time that it was supposed to be in the oven. And again, like I said, with another tray that I thought would theoretically reduce the oven temperature. So, yeah, this is part of one of my baking, cooking experiments that has gone horribly awry. And I'm going to put it on the internet for everybody to see. Pretty sweet. Okay, everyone, we have made our Queen Drop biscuits. These still look amazing. We're still going to give them a taste and give them, my final thoughts on this. The recipe was very easy to put together, mixed up. Like I said, we made the substitute with the cherries versus currants or raisins, and I added a little bit of the chocolate on them just to kind of kick it up a notch. And again, I am historically inspired, not historically accurate. So, okay. So we have our little cookie here. Now, biscuit. This has nice little bit of volume to it. Like it's up a little bit. It's nice and golden on the bottom. My chocolate is still a little melty. Inside, it's pretty dense. It has you get the butter coming through, so it has a little bit of that shortbread vibe with being a really nice, like strong, melty butter. But it's dense and a little bit more cakey, like a more cake-like sort of consistency. I have to say, I am not a fan of dried fruit, and I'm not a fan of the fruit in here, but the cake, the cookie part, biscuit part still tastes really good. So overall, I'm going to say that this recipe was very easy to put together. I think that the taste is good. If you're into dried fruit, you would definitely like it. If you're not into dried fruit, the biscuit part is at least still pretty tasty. And I think that I am definitely a fan of the addition of the white chocolate drizzle. So, yeah, I think I would probably make these again. They were easy, except for the fact that I burned an entire tray. And they're pretty tasty, and I think they would be something that would be fun to say, like, oh, this is a historic Victorian recipe, and, you could sound fancy, but really, it's not that fancy. They're pretty nice. They're pretty easy, pretty tasty. Yeah, I'll just have to figure out what happened, why I torched a tray of them. But other than that, I'm not too upset, and I think I'm gonna go finish my cup of tea and finish my biscuit, maybe have another. But thank you for joining me. I appreciate that you spent your time with me. If you have not already subscribed, please subscribe. Please let me a comment. Please like my video if you did, and just keep watching for the new things that we try together. Thank you.